Hey everybody, Joel here. I've got this Cub Cadet GT 1554 hand-me-down from my father-in-law. He had used it for several years in Minnesota, mowing about, I'm guessing probably an acre to 2 acres of grass, and worked really well for him. They moved away, they moved into an apartment, and my dad was using it at the lake place, and he used it for a couple of summers and it was working for him. And now it has sat for a couple of years and just hasn't been running, and I can't get it started. I thought it was going to be a pretty easy fix, just get the battery charged up and make a few adjustments and get it rolling again. But it is being stubborn. So I did have to go out and purchase a new battery. I picked one up from Napa a couple hours ago, and I've been cranking and had to get it onto the charger already, wore that battery down. But this has got the Kohler engine in it, and I'm not that familiar with these mowers. I've had John Deere before, and I could work on those pretty easily. Didn't really ever have a lick of trouble with the John Deere that I had. So we're gonna just dig into it a little bit here and see what's going on. I've tried to trace down some of the safety features, the seat switch. I've checked a couple of the fuses already. Was checking for spark. I had fuel on the load side of the filter. I took that apart, and I got fuel dribbling out both sides of that. So it could be something in the fuel pump, maybe. I'm hoping not. Or some electrical safety switch somewhere that I'm just not seeing. So I'll keep at it, and I'll let you guys know what kind of progress I make here. But it's really a nice tractor. I have mowed a little bit with it at my father-in-law's and at my dad's place. So it is definitely worth resurrecting and getting this thing back in operational condition, clean it up, and get it back. I took the mower deck off so I could work on it a little bit easier, pretty simple. They've got this lifting carriage with these little cables. The rear of the mower deck clamps right onto those. I'm laying on the garage floor here. Bear with me a second. These clip right into those brackets, these spring, kind of a spring U-bolt. And it slides out pretty easy from there. It's got a bar on the front that just latches right into it, and then you just got to wrap the belt around the pulley. So I got it jacked up a little bit so I wanted to double check to make sure that my switch, the brake switch, was doing okay. And from what I can tell, we're fine. To get a light down in here. Where's that brake switch at? Right up in there. We'll see if we can see it activating. It's just pretty basic. Yeah, you can see that switch going in and out. So that's not broken. I don't know if the electrical apparatus part of it is working, but it must be, because I was able to turn it over. I don't think you could turn it over if that switch is not operating. So I have found that there's some oil, just a lot of crap oil mess down here. And it was leaking on the garage floor where I had it stored back in Minnesota. And it was down about a quart of oil. So we might have an issue with some oil leaking down here also. I'm gonna say we do have an issue, not we might. So that might be another project, but I'm gonna keep going on the electrical part of this thing. It's baffled me because I was turning it over before, checked for spark and so on, and it was turning over just fine. Now I can't even get it to turn over. So I'm not sure what in the world is going on here, but I'll keep at it. So I was down in the backside here trying. This is just terrible access for all of this wiring, but beside the point. Checking the solenoid to see if that was the issue. And I was just touching the wire, following it back up. This cap had fallen way down into the back, so I was pulling the cap back up to get situated onto the battery, and the wire pulled right out. So you can see there, that's the I call the hot, positive, the red fell right out of its eyelet. So I'm not even sure if that was, yeah, it was crimped on there just lightly. But maybe that was the issue. Maybe that's why I wasn't getting it to turn over. I could get the light, the actual lights to come on. I could get the power takeoff relay to click, but I couldn't get the starter to roll. So we'll crimp this back together and get it back on, and I'll see if I can get it to turn back over again. Well, I've got to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what I did. I had this little jumper in that plug, and that was to the PTO relay down underneath there. And I put a new fuse. I ended up blowing the fuse, so I put a new fuse in here. These are tough to get at. I had to pull it out through the front vent here. I'll stuff it back in there when I'm done, but not the most friendly to work on. But anyways, so now when I turn the light on, or turn the key on, I get my lights, and my PTO light is off. So I have to be honest, I don't know what I did by blowing that fuse or what have you, but when I pull the PTO switch out now, you can hear it engage down underneath there. So, but now I've got it, I was able to make it turn over. And now that PTO light's not coming on, even when I'm engaging the PTO, or yeah. Whereas before it was. So I don't know what. Oh, there we go. So just a minute ago, I was able to get this thing to turn over. And now it won't again. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to keep at it. So I've been getting it to turn over. I've tried a couple shots of starting fluid in, and right in straight through the carburetor, and nothing, it just would not take. So I've determined the choke is working, throttle is working, all the levers, pulleys, cables, all that stuff, all the flaps are working, nothing is seized up there. So I took apart the carburetor. Actually came apart pretty easy. Been cleaning it up as I go here, just trying to make sure everything is nice and operational. Yeah, these parts are really in not that bad a shape, I don't think. I've been getting fuel in there. The bowl was full when I took that off, but it was junk. It was bad fuel. It was varnished up pretty good. So I dumped that out, cleaned it up really good, cleaned up the bowl. Let's see, here's that part down here. I don't know what type of sensor this is right here. I don't know that could go bad or not. But I guess we'll find out. Like I said, just kind of cleaning it up. I'll get a little bit more clean on it, and then put it back together and see if we can get this thing to turn over. If we could get that gas into the cylinders, we should be able to get this thing moving. So I don't know. Bear with me. Well, I think we might be getting somewhere. I've determined that this coil was bad, so I removed it. This coil over here is good. I could get spark out of that one. I could not get spark out of this one. I removed them, swapped them around. Got the same story with them on the other side. I tried both spark plugs. Both spark plugs would get spark in the one coil that works. Again, this coil did not work, so I went to the local dealer or parts store, Max Supply in Loveland, Colorado, and they had this kit. It's an actual Kohler part, and they've got an upgrade kit, I guess it is, because it's a little bit different. Here's the old coil. We've got the 3 prongs. From what I understand, we've got, well, I don't know. I think there's a hot, there's a ground, and there's a signal wire that go in there with the 3 prongs. But this new one just has the 1 prong on it, and I'm assuming this wire is probably coming out for the ground, and there's some wiring pieces that come with it also. Here's some more of the Kohler genuine replacement part here. There's some wire pieces, so I'll go ahead and read through these instructions and get these put back together. I hope that solves my problem, because I'm getting good crank, and and it just seems like everything is ready to go, but just can't get that one side to spark. So we'll get this installed and we'll see where we're at. Okay, so I've got the new ignition kit installed. It says that you're just supposed to zip tie the old 3-prong connector right up to the cross, this cross tubing here. And I've got the whites, so you have to cut the white that comes from the from over this way and crimp it on, and then it hooks into the white going over this way, and that is installed. It wasn't really clear. Well, it was fairly clear. This is tied to the sheathing around the spark plug wire here, and that's only used if you're using if it's a different type of motor. So this is the Courage, the other one's a Command, and it didn't say to use this at all for the Courage motor, so I'm just leaving it here. I'll secure that a little bit better. So I'm going to get this put back together. Again, I did kind of clean the carb out, so it's not a full new carb rebuild by any means, but it's been cleaned up, taken apart. I'll get the air cleaner back on, get the shroud back on, and this fuel pump runs off of here somehow. So I'm sure I've got to get that plugged back into the fuel pump here in order to get the fuel into the carburetor. So I'll go ahead and assemble everything and we'll see if we can get this thing running. Well, I think I had a eureka moment. I got new spark plugs and I was checking the spark and it didn't look like I was getting any spark. But I just had a feeling, because when I did have them in, I could get it to run a little bit on starting fluid, which I know is a no-no. Talked about that before. And then while I was at work today, I started thinking, you know what? There's that fuel solenoid down underneath the carburetor. So I got in here and I took that out, cleaned it up, and now I can hear that click. Let me get the brake set here. Hear it? Let's see if we can choke this and start it up. Here we go. Oh my goodness. There we have it. All right, finally. I had a feeling that was going to be it. That was the issue. Well, I had several issues, but this last issue was the fuel solenoid valve, or the fuel solenoid down underneath the carburetor, right under the front of the engine. Crazy, but got it out, got it working, and I think I'm gonna try to take this thing for a little drive. Well, it seems to be working fine now. Last night it shorted out while I was test driving it, and blew the fuse. I don't know what exactly shorted out, but let me just pull the shroud off here. So what I did is, on the conversion kit, they suggested to leave the wiring harness on and just tuck it up in here. Well, I think I may have had something shorting out in the old wiring harness. So this morning I just went and took it all apart. I've got to get these zip tied down to the manifold there. But yeah, and then I just put the solenoid wire. That just needs 12 volt power. So I just went to the red because that used to go through the wiring harness. This is rubber tape. I put a butt splice, crimped it on, sealed it up good with rubber tape. And then the white obviously is the white here, but I think everything came together. Gave it a good little test drive here for a few minutes, and it starts right up nice and okay. Just wrapping this up now. I did go ahead and protect these wires a little better with one of those tubes, just a wire sleeve, flexible wire sleeve. And it does say to zip tie them right to that manifold. That's where they were before, so I just left it that way. I'll get the shroud put back on here, but this was the process. I had to put a new conversion kit on for the ignition, and it was pretty simple. I mean, you just follow the instructions. I kind of went over that, so everything should be good to go. I also did, like I had said before, I had problems with the solenoid, the fuel shutoff solenoid, so I pulled that out and cleaned it up. That's right underneath there, that shiny part underneath the carburetor. And once I'd cleaned that up and got the, just kind of got the gunk out of there, that really seems to be working fine now too. So I will have to put the lawnmower on and give that a test. But I think for now, I'm gonna put the shroud back on and button this thing up, and we're gonna call it good. If anything changes, I will update with another video on it. But all in all, this ended up being quite the project. So I'm glad it's over and it is running. Anyways, again, it's a GT 1554 Cub Cadet, and it's got the Kohler Courage 27. They also made a Command series also, but this one's the Courage. So good luck if you're working on yours, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.